Hello. A few days ago, I was having a conversation with a couple of people, and we were talking about the concept of free will and determinism. Actually, I have already done a video about this topic, but it is primarily centered around the theme of the Matrix trilogy. And while I strongly argued for the motion of determinism in that video, and I would still argue for that motion even in this video, there were a couple of interesting things that came up in our conversation, which is something that I want to share today. So, when we were talking, somebody brought a very intriguing point forward because he mentioned how he thought that the realm of imagination is a place where we can exercise our free will because he felt that there really isn't any restrictive, constrictive force that would impede our ability to imagine whatever we want. And while I had not conceptualized this very idea before that, the minute he mentioned it, I immediately felt, wait a minute, isn't this also a domain that is predeterministically ordained? And I'll explain the reason why I felt that way. When we think of the word imagination, what does it really entail? Is it possible for any individual in this world to ever think or imagine something out of a vacuum without being influenced by the things that they've seen, the books that they've read, the music that they've heard, the people that they've come across, the conversations that they've had, even their genetic predisposition or their nature, their nurture, along with a plethora of other reasons that cumulatively affect a person's ability to think, to create, or even to conceptualize the world in a particular way? No. It is not possible for any individual to dismiss these variables and proclaim that what they're imagining is them exercising their free will, because the mere act of imagination is dependent on all of our past experiences, which means that it is predeterministically ordained. Like me even speaking this thing right now, or imagining certain words that I would like to string into the sentences that I'm going to say next, is based off of my past experiences with the literature, the books that I've read, the school that I've been to, the movies that I've watched, and all of these other reasons that culminated in me using the exact words that I'm using to express myself right now. Also, if we really had the free will to imagine whatever we wanted, then our scope of imaginative field would have been so infinitely expansive that any individual with the slightest passion for any cause in this world should have been able to come up with amazing, trailblazing, innovative solutions to some of the most pressing issues that we're facing in the world today, but not many of us do. Despite receiving the privilege to interact with some of the brightest minds in the world and feeling so passionately for the cause of climate change, Greta Thunberg should have been able to come up with some solutions to tackle this issue by now, and yet it isn't her, but this other kid who I think is now a teenager called Boyan Slat, who has come up with this ingenious solution to clean up our oceans, especially from plastic waste, and not Greta Thunberg. Well, that's all for today. If you think there are certain avenues in our lives where we can exercise our free will, then please share your insight with me. While I do think that free will does exist, but I think it exists within a boundary, and mostly for long-term issues. For example, some people say that we have the free will to not react to certain things a certain way, but do we really have that power? Because if somebody makes me angry, then I'm already angry. If somebody pisses me off, I'm already pissed off. It's got to do with my immediate biochemistry and how I feel in that particular moment, and there's nothing I can do about it. But maybe if people can recognize these patterns about their lives and then pour in that determination and willpower to make that change in the long term, then they can actually work towards it. So maybe that's where the free will aspect comes in. Let me know what you think about this.